Can you believe white is not losing this game? If you're below 1500, there is a high chance that you resign in this kind of position with white. But it would be a massive blunder. Did you know that 10% of the games you play end up in Rook Endgames? That's why today I'm gonna show you 3 positions that you must know in Rook Endgames. Here it's pretty easy to see that the Rook cannot come back on time to stop this pawn, because the king would just take it. And in this kind of situations, I want to create a pattern in your mind. The only thing that will save you is a stalemate. Where should be the king and this newly married queen, so you have a stalemate. And you need to think about this right now. If the king is on c8, and let's say the queen is on c5, and let's say you do not have a rook, this would be a stalemate. You need to represent mentally the position you want to get to save yourself. It's the same in life. When you make plans, that never happened. Because when you make plans, God laughs. So here we know, if the king is here and the queen is here, this king would be in stalemate. Let's create a pattern. Give a check. This king cannot go there, otherwise all I have to do is come here and eat this pawn, and now I would be totally winning with white. So this king is forced to go to c8. Now that the king is on c8, we said we want a queen here to create a stalemate pattern. And this is how you come up with this move, rook b5. Thinking if he queens, all I have to do is give this check. It's a fork, so the queen is forced to take here. And this is a stalemate and a draw. But I know what you're thinking. This one was too easy for you. This endgame happens so often in our games that it feels like cheating to know the answer. Because this is the endgame where we blunder the most. Because we think that starting by pushing the king or the pawn is the same. But it's not. One of them loses the game, and this is the one that you do, pushing the pawn. Rule number 1. When your king is very far away from being able to help the pawn promotion, you have to make sure to not be cut by the rook. Because if you start by pushing the pawn, all your friend has to do now is just cut your king this way. And this one is doomed to stay in this area of the board. What does it mean? And let me tell you something, if this king is not able to help, this pawn is never queening. And this is exactly what happens in this game. Of course you can push. Now all your friend has to do is bring his king this way. And this is trick number 2. Whenever this pawn is 2 squares away from this king, like here, all you have to do is attack the pawn with the rook. This king cannot come on time. If the king was here, he would just have to play a move like this, protecting the pawn. You see why we need the king and the pawn to be separated by 2 squares? Because now you're forced to push the pawn. And you put the rook behind it, and this pawn is yours. And white is winning. But wait, the reason why you lost is because you decided to push a pawn. Go with the king first. The king comes closer, and now you push the pawn. This little difference, this little finesse, makes a big difference. Chess is not just about pushing wood, guys. King c6, push. King d5, push. You see what the difference is now? That you move the king here? This move doesn't do anything because all he has to do is bring the king. He brings the king, you push, and you do not have time to come and attack the pawn anymore because he would queen. So you go there, otherwise he would queen, and you bring the king. He does the same, you do the same, he does the same, you do the same, and this is just a draw because you're gonna queen on the next move and he's gonna take it, and you're gonna be left just with 2 lonely kings. And you manage to draw this game with black. King first in the endgame, remember this. Here there is a massive difference. What happens if I put the king here? Now you need to use a technique that is called shouldering. And it's gonna feel weird, because white is gonna start checking. You go here, he comes closer with his king, you push your pawn all happy about yourself, and he checks again. I'm actually gonna say if you're below 2200 and you don't know this trick, there is a chance that you play king g3 and now you're totally losing. I mean, king g3 is the most natural move. Surely I have to go forward to try and help my pawn becoming a queen. But this loses the game. After king f5, you push, check. King moves. Come closer. h2. We're getting there. We're gonna queen. Yeah, you're gonna queen. And I'm gonna checkmate. That's the problem. And you're gonna tell me, Mr. Smarty Pants, that you're not gonna queen, you're gonna underpromote to a knight. So let me give you another trick here. Whenever there is a knight like this on the corner, all you have to do is go in diagonal. In diagonal to the knight, and the knight is trapped. Like this. This knight now cannot go here and cannot go here. That's another reason why you don't put the knights on the rim, on the corner, however you want to call it. because now the only move is this, and you take, and then next, if you don't know how to checkmate king and a rook versus a king, learn it. But wait, after this check, I said that black blundered. So there was a way to actually save this position. And it's just so strange. We don't go forward, we actually shoulder. By playing this, we make sure to control this king, and we're gonna use the shouldering technique. Let me show you. Now he comes here, I push, he goes there, trying to create all sort of struggle for us on the back rank. Now we go forward. All we have to do is bring the king. He does the same, we do the same. It's just so strange. You see here, if you do something like this, you're doomed. Because all he has to do is king f2, king h1, and king g3. And then when you push or do this, both moves lead to checkmate. So don't do this. That's why you shoulder, which means you play the king here on g2, which means you're controlling the squares of this king. You don't let him come closer. He gives a check. Just ask yourself this thing. In your games, in the last 100 games where you had this position, did you put the king on the h-file and you ended up losing the game like this in a very, very sad way? Did you? And he goes there and he takes. Yeah. That's another trick that you have to know here. When he gives a check, again, this is super strange, but you have to go to f1, and this position is just a draw. He can come here with the king if he wants to, but there is h2. When he tries to stop it, you come with the king. There is nothing he can do. You want to queen on the next move. He gives a check, I go back. I'm threatening this. You have to come back. I copy your move, bro. And this is how you draw in this game. The shouldering technique, remember this one. This position happens so often in our games, because it happens when this king actually went to the other side of the board to Pac-Man all your pawns, and now he has to come back. But is he in time to actually stop this pawn? So let me tell you how precise Rook Endgames are, and that's the reason why you struggle so much. If it's white to play, white is winning. But if it's black to play, black draws this game. Let me first show you one of your friend who's playing with white and it's his turn to play, so he's winning. All he has to do is just bring the king. Of course, black is gonna start pushing this pawn until they need the help of the king to continue pushing their pawn. But now, this king is too close to the other one. All you have to do is just give a check. The king goes there, and you put the king on f3, because here black has two possible moves. Whenever the kings are in diagonal this way, separated by one square, and he pushes like this to try and create a sort of stalemate, so do not play a move like this, please, because it would be stalemate and a draw. But whenever you have a situation like this, where kings are in diagonal this way, separated by one square, all you have to do is transfer the rook to the other side of the board this way, because on the next move is a forced checkmate. He's forced to play just this move, and you checkmate like this. But he didn't have to push this pawn. It's the second pattern that I want you to have in your mind. Whenever there is a pawn and a king like this, on the third rank, this way, what you have to do is bring the rook to the third rank. Now he's forced to go back, and now you take the pawn. And here, because you have very little time left at this point, right, in your games, please do not start checking like this or doing this kind of nonsense. All you have to do is just go back one square, waste a tempo to force him to go to this square, because when he does, checkmate. But wait, if it's black to play, after this move, this game is just a draw. You see how just changing one move order changes everything in the endgame. Yes, the white king is trying to get closer, but all you have to do is push your pawn. Yes, he gets here and it's quite weird, because he has this check. But now you have this resource. This is a threat of a stalemate, because the king cannot go anywhere, which means this rook can never stay here, controlling the exit of the king. And this is the big difference compared to the first position. The king is forced to move away. Okay, I go out, and I threaten to queen. You give a check, I go back, and now I threaten stalemate. You go here trying some shenanigans against us, but I just do this. And my threat is super simple, just this. And you don't have time to try and control it, so what can you do? Just checking again, and this is a draw.